The gold rush of the past century has been in discovering reserves of fossil fuels. The natural gas boom is promising for energy generation, jobs, and wealth for the next 50 years. But according to Eric Anderson, an environmental ethics professor, that's a road to ruins.
If you look at global civilization, we're trying to keep the carbon count of the world below 350. As of today, we are at 402 parts per million. That's the highest it's been in about 1 million years. So if we continue to extract this energy, in 30 years, we will extract as much as we have in the last 150 years.
Anderson believes that society has, in the last decade or so, become more aware of the benefits of green energy. The Environmental Protection Agency says natural gas is a promising and viable combustible due to its low cost and fewer CO2 emissions than coal. But at the same time, the agency warns about the extraction side of this gas, which can release or leak other pollutants.
Methane is 30 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. If we do not have good infrastructure, if the infrastructure is not regulated and becomes outdated, as we're seeing in some of the infrastructure that we have now, that's bad news. At that point, natural gas becomes a dirtier alternative to coal.
Texas does not have an income tax, and the reason we're able to escape that is because we have significant revenues from our oil and gas industry.
Villalba is a member of the Texas Environmental Regulations Committee, a congressional body that will be inviting experts around the state to the Texas Capitol in the coming months to provide testimony on findings concerning fracking and its alleged risks, while taking in consideration how important this industry has become for Texas and the country.
Well, there's no question we've got to explore the concerns of our citizens. When you hear about earthquakes in North Texas, when you hear about risk to the water table and risk to our environment, we've got to take that seriously.
But Anderson argues that with their vast influence, the oil companies pressure elected officials to continue expanding the natural gas infrastructure, investing in an unsustainable industry.
We have a lot of wind energy along the coastline. In Texas, on the whole state, wind energy has become important in the last year.
Texas's secret weapon is a growing industry that takes advantage of the constant winds that blow through the state, now generating more energy through that medium than ever before.
At the end of March, wind energy made a record over 35% generation of all the load which was consumed in Texas during that time.
According to the American Association for Wind Energy, Texas leads the country with 8,000 wind turbines, which do not require the use of water, nor do they produce any emissions. Wind farms like in the city of Harlingen have multiplied in the last 5 years, in part because of advances in technology which have driven costs down, the same factors that have ignited the gas boom.
Texas has been the #1 state for creating jobs in this country over the past 10 years. Over that same decade when Texas was #1 in the nation for creating jobs, Texas also was #1 in the nation for ozone reduction.
Texas currently leads the country in wind farming, but even as it becomes ever more important to continue developing this industry, it has one significant disadvantage.
It's not completely reliable because sometimes the wind turbines do not work.
Days and some not windy days. What we need is a smart infrastructure to deliver and to manage that energy as it enters the grid of our urban centers. This is what we don't have. So our infrastructure that we're invested in for the last several years is set up in a way to favor natural gas.
For now, some experts prefer to see these competing industries as complementary enterprises.
Of course, the electric industry is capital intensive and is very important for society.
At least the search for gold, whether it be underground or in the skies, will continue to be a better alternative than conformity. It is that push that keeps the train from stalling and the turbines spinning. For Fox 2 News, Oscar Margain reporting.